Veterans Affairs running an effort to ban the display of that iconic Times Square kiss photo on VJA at the end of World War II. Was anyone at the White House consulted in the drafting of the initial memorandum, and then did anyone at the White House call up the Secretary of Veterans Affairs and say rescind that memo?
So I want to be really, really clear. The VA is not going to be banning this photo from VA facilities. So I just want to be super, super clear about that. I know, as you just said, you described it as a kerfuffle. There was obviously some reporting on that. I can say that I can definitely say that the memo was not sanctioned, and so it's not something that we were even aware of until you all started reporting on it. But we are not banning that photo, and I'm just going to be super clear about that. Any specifics about the memo and the process over there, certainly I would refer you to the VA.
Back in 2012, Michelle Miller spoke with the original couple who told her all about that kiss.
They descended on New York's Times Square in pairs to stand below a 25-foot statue of a sailor kissing a nurse. They'd hoped to relive a moment made famous in black and white exactly 70 years ago. It's one of the most famous pictures of the 20th century, the moment Americans learned of a Japanese surrender.
It was the moment that you come back from the Pacific and finally, the war ends.
89-year-old George Mendoza says he's that sailor in the photograph that would come to symbolize the end of World War II, and Greta Friedman, the nurse in white.
I did not see him approaching, and before I know it, I was in this tight grip.
How long did you kiss her?
Not long.
As the perfect strangers locked lips, world-famous photographer Alfred Eisenstadt snapped 4 pictures. 10 seconds was all it took. We reunited George and Greta 3 years ago at the spot of their first kiss for just the second time since that day in 1945.
The excitement of the war being over, plus I had a few drinks. So when I saw the nurse, I grabbed her and I kissed her.
Did either of you see the picture when it was first published in Life magazine?
I'm sure I saw it.
So did you recognize yourself?
Yes, of course. I mean, you don't forget this guy grabbing you.
No, I did not know the picture was taken.
Greta was a dental assistant on break, heading to Times Square to verify rumors of the war's end. George, a first-class sailor in the Navy, was on a date with another woman. They went their separate ways, not formally meeting again until 1980, when Life magazine asked the previously unknown pair to come forward. George's friend noticed the picture in the magazine.
He says, I know it's you. And I said, you're crazy. This was 1980. 35 years after the war ended.
The first time you saw the picture?
That's correct.
But they weren't the only ones claiming credit. For more than 30 years, others said they were the ones in the photo. And for just as long, George has fought to set the record straight.
I started my research in 2007.
He found an ally in Lawrence Veria, a Rhode Island history teacher turned author. In his 2012 book, The Kissing Sailor, Veria argues the evidence rules out everyone but the retired fisherman from Middletown, Rhode Island. In fact, his date, Rita Petrie, can be seen in the background smiling from ear to ear.
So the first week you're dating?
Yeah, so.
And he's kissing another woman.
I know, but as I said, I don't know either I was dopey or something, but it didn't bother me.
It must not have. She's been married to George for the last 69 years.
Women still come up to George?
Oh, Lord, yes. Strangers, if we're at a different function or something, and they'll come up that he's a kissing sailor. So the kissing sailor has to think he's got to kiss everybody. So he does. Everybody gets his kiss.
I have to admit something to you, Rita.
Yeah. Very nice.
He's kissing me.
You, I wouldn't mind him kissing.
And we went alongside the hospital ship and we're putting the wounded over. And we're passing them across. And the nurses on the hospital ship, they went right to work on these guys.
It left a huge impression.
And I say that's why I grabbed the nurse when I saw her in Times Square.
The memory of what the nurses did for those wounded men.
That's right.
The pain of the wounded, the elation of victory, all of that led to this.